I was assigned to the Social Welfare Division, which is located on the Eastern Main Road in Tunapuna, directly opposite Royal Castle. I began my practicum on March 21st, 2022 and completed it on April 19th, 2022. I worked in total of 168 hours. The agency works to empower the most vulnerable members of society to live better lives by providing financial support in accordance with existing laws, rules, and policies. They offer a range of grants which include senior citizen pension, public assistance grants, disability grants for adults and minors, food support, general assistance grants. I can't talk about practicum without mentioning my experience with practicum 3. My third practicum was at the same agency where I learned the skills like empathy, active listening, patience, and cultural competence, which boosted my confidence for practicum 4. It was not difficult for me to complete practicum 4. It did, however, allow me to concentrate on some of the issues at the agency. After doing a needs assessment of the agency, there were many issues, but staff shortage stood out the most because it resulted in long wait periods, high absenteeism, inefficiency in meeting deadlines, and slow application processing, which are all negative impacts for the clients. The issues mentioned bothered me greatly, and I wondered what I could do to help. So I made some observations. As I sat at my desk one morning, I noticed 20 people waiting in line at the front desk for more than 30 minutes. I also noticed that each client was dealt with by a single employee. That employee was responsible for registering each client, search for information for clients, retrieve checks, and collect paperwork for officers, all of which required the employee to leave the counter on occasion. Aside from those in line, there were still around 200 others waiting outside the building for their turn to get inside. I offered my assistance and the line began to move rapidly, allowing those waiting outside to be attended to. Then there were the life certificate persons, who were attended to by one person as well, and whose duty was searching through a manual spreadsheet log for their names, retrieving and photocopying their documents for those who did not photocopy their documents, fill out the forms for persons who were unable to fill the forms, and ensure that these individuals signed by their names. This was a time-consuming operation, and there was a backlog of senior citizens who needed to be seen. Some of the people weren't even supposed to be there because it wasn't their time to sign, and they wouldn't have known this until it was their turn to be attended to by the employee. So they would have waited for a long time for nothing. Again, I offered my assistance, which she happily accepted, and the senior citizens were quickly dispersed. At the end of that day, I concluded that one person is insufficient to work at the front desk. So I had the idea of having more than one person work at the front desk and deal with members of the public. I reasoned that since the government does not have finances to pay any more workers and the Social Welfare Division isn't in charge of employing people, why not have unpaid people provide direct service to the clients? As a result, the idea of a volunteer program was formed. So now I had to sit down and think of a proposal to present to start the program. I titled my intervention as Enhanced Commitment to Serve Our Vulnerable Citizens. And this proposal consists of goals, objectives using the SMART, indicators of achievement, target group activities, project plan and timeline, strategic alliances, partners, budget, staff management team, proposed networking and alliances, monitoring and evaluation. The goals of the program is to increase the proficiency within the organization, to enhance productivity and innovation at the Social Welfare Office in Tunapuna, and to expand the staff skill set to have general knowledge of all aspects of the organization. SMART objectives are a type of goal setting that allows managers and employees to create, track, and achieve short and long-term goals. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable and agreed, relevant, and time-bound. So the objectives for this volunteer program were developed using SMART. Under specific, the objective is to decrease waiting times for the vulnerable citizens by 95% at the Welfare Office in Tunapuna. Under measurable, the objective is applications completed on time before the deadline of the board meeting in order to be approved to the client's satisfaction. Under achievable and agreed, the objective is satisfied human resource and clients. Under relevant, the objective is limited caseloads, and under time-bound, the objective is volunteers will complete the required training within 21 days of the start day of training. Indicators of achievement, and that is signs letting me know if the project is a success. So for example, feedback from stakeholders about how strategy is being implemented, numbers of hours spent on activities by staff or volunteers, and whether time is being used efficiently. Also, number of volunteer turnovers. So if it's going good, then the volunteers will want to stay, and I won't have to be getting new volunteers every other day because they're leaving. So the volunteers that I start with will be committed to the job, and that will tell me if the program is a success. The target groups for this project are vulnerable citizens, which include unemployed, underemployed, people living in poverty, some single-parent families, persons with disabilities, recently laid off people, senior citizens. We'll also focus on paid staff. That includes the agency staff, such as the welfare officers 1 and 2, as well as support staff, such as the clerical staff. Activities for the volunteer program for recruitment would include a press release about the volunteer program, and it will be distributed on all social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram, with a link to download a volunteer application. Skills training, conducting a training program, will help the volunteer understand how the organization works. The training program will also include paid staff, so everyone will be on the same page, because part of the delays of processing applications stems from the fact that files are being deferred for pending documents that the officer failed to inform the clients of the necessary documents because she did not know. Volunteers would be inspired and appreciated, and we would do activities like sending thank you emails. We'll have a wall dedicated to Volunteer of the Month photos, and we would even give certificates of appreciation. Project plan and timeline. Job descriptions will assist me in vetting, placing, and evaluating volunteers, and once the expectations are clear, it would increase the likelihood of volunteers doing a better job. The next stage is recruiting. This stage is important because establishing a great team would be essential to the agency's success. The screening process would help to eliminate the risk and protect the agency's reputations while maintaining confidentiality. background checks and reference checks will ensure that we have the best future volunteers to work with our vulnerable citizens. Strategic alliances, partners. The companies will provide funding. I will collaborate with universities/colleges such as UWI and COSTAT to provide the volunteer program as part of the student's degree. For this pilot project, I will ask my practicum classmates who are interested to be volunteers and participate in the volunteer program. Also, my practice teacher will provide me with the information I need to supervise the volunteers. Normally, advertising, training, and volunteer recognition would be budgeted for, but there will be no cost to begin this initiative. I chose social media to advertise because it's free, whereas traditional media such as television, radio, and newspapers are quite expensive. Training is quite inexpensive, but there will be no price in this case because the agency already possesses resources in the same way volunteer recognition. Staff management team proposed networking and alliances. The team will participate in all areas of the volunteer program. The staff will also be committed to assisting and fostering participation. The team will recognize that the volunteer program will boost the organization's image and attract talent with different job backgrounds or skill sets. I will adopt the role of supervisor and be responsible for jobs completion by enabling others, as well as nurturing or establish an environment that empowers volunteers to perform their duties. Monitoring entails keeping track of a project's execution and performance. It is necessary to collect information on project activities, such as schedules, and compare it to the goals to ensure that I am on the right track. Monitoring is complemented by evaluation. The information gathered during the monitoring phase is used in the project's final evaluation. And that brings us to the end of my presentation.